Thank you for coming back. My name is Dev Das. I am currently a junior doctor and an aspiring comedian. This video is going to be specifically for any sort of aspiring medical students. I want to briefly talk you through a rough step-by-step guide on applying for and securing your first ever medical school spot. Now, before I even start about how you apply, where you apply, what you want to think about, the first question you really do have to ask yourself is whether medicine is for you or not. And I know it sounds like a very, very simple, very, very basic question, but it's a question that you really cannot underestimate, right? The process in and of itself is very long. All right. You have to make sure you commit to it. Once you do, you're going to be in medical school for 6 years. There'll be numerous exams, numerous loops that you and hoops that you have to pass through. After you've done that, medicine will essentially be the cornerstone of your life. Your life is going to integrate around your rota patterns, your night shifts, any sort of specialty training, whether you want to go into surgery, general medicine, anesthetics. That's all going to be focused on more exams, more application processes, more interviews. So you really have to think about whether medicine is for you or not. And I'll make another video about this later with regards to how I feel you should judge. And I'll be talking a lot about the truths. But before that's for another day. Before you do go into actual applying for medical school, you really do have to think about whether medicine is for you, whether you are the sort of person who will do well in it, whether in the sense that whether you have the right sort of personality type, whether you have the right sort of mentality, the right level of resilience in order to be able to cope with all the exams and the pressure, and ultimately whether what you want out of life is going to be given by the amount of time you spend in medicine, because you will be spending a lot of time in medicine, whether that's in shift, in medical school, going to work experience, going to different hospitals, or whether it's just a case of being at home and studying for exams, preparing for interviews. It's going to be a big part of your life. So you cannot underestimate the fact, the question. You can't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, it is for me, it'll be fine. You have to think about it. Otherwise, you'll probably be wasting a bit of money and a lot of your time that you won't get back. So do not underestimate that question. Now, assuming medicine is for you, you have to think about where you are with regards to your education. You have to think about your GCSEs, right? And you have to think about your A levels, and you have to make sure you smash them out. You really have to do well in them, because most people that are going to be applying for medical school, they're going to be smart. You're not competing with random people. You're competing with elite individuals who know what they want and who are going to do whatever it takes to get there. All right. I got 9 A stars in my GCSEs, and I'm not saying that to flex. I'm not, because I'll tell you one thing. I got 3 Bs as well, but I don't mention that. The only reason why I say I got 9 A stars is because it is a testament to how hard I worked, and 8-hour days, 10-hour days I spent in the library at home studying, revising, memorizing mark schemes, understanding the fundamentals in order to be able to get those marks. So I can go into the interviews and be like, listen, I work hard, and this is the proof. I'm smart, and this is the proof. All right. You have to make sure your GCSEs are on point, and you have to look at your A levels. From what I understand, most med schools they want at least chemistry, if not biology and chemistry. Some of them want all 3 sciences. Others, for example, like UCL, the one I went to, they liked 2 sciences and one other that isn't science related, to show that you're a well-rounded individual. I did biology, chemistry, and business studies. So that's essentially how I got into it. But look into your A levels. Make sure you're on track with your GCSEs and A levels. And again, I'll make another video about how I did so well. Bottom line is, it's not that much talent. It's a lot of hard work. So you've got your motivation for studying medicine. Your A levels are correct. You have to think about your experience now. What sort of experience do you have? What sort of volunteering have you done? What do you do outside of your school life, if that makes sense? Do you go and volunteer at a charity shop? Do you go and volunteer at a care home? Is there any sort of volunteering you've done that you can extract skills out and say, this is what I did, and I've learned communication skills, I've learned interpersonal dynamics, I've learned how to navigate difficult social situations, I've learned how to manage time well, I've learned how to work as a part of a well-rounded and highly functioning team. Look at your experience, look at what volunteering you've done, and make sure you know how you can extract as much knowledge out of that in order to be able to fill into your personal statement, but also your interviews. Now, after all of that, you get into the application process. You have to think about what sort of medical schools you are going to be applying for. You can apply for 4 medical schools and then one other subject which isn't medicine. So typically that's, biomedical sciences. But 4 med schools are the ones that you typically go for. You have to think about there are a lot of things again that goes into which medical schools to apply for, and I'll make another video on this. But fundamentally, you have to make sure you do your research. All right, do you want to stay at home? Do you want to stay far away? What type of med school do you want to go to? Do you want to go to a campus based? Do you want to go to a city based? What sort of teaching does it provide? Is it case-based? Is it traditional? There's a lot of things that go into it. And again, you can't just randomly apply to 4 med schools. You have to be strategic about it, You have to go for one which is quite high, one which is relatively low, and 2 in the middle. You have to make sure you know what you want out of them. Do you think you're the type of person who's going to excel with regards to traditional forms of learning or case-based forms of learning? Which one are you? Do you think you're going to be able to smash the interview out for the traditional types? Do you think you're going to be able to smash the interviews out for the MMIs? Again, what type of person are you? What is suited best for your strengths and your weaknesses? You have to factor all of that in, and then just go for the med school. And you cannot be lethargic about it. You have to attack with intention. So, and another thing to mention is that you go on the UCAS website, UCAS website. They have a timeline with regards to your application process. They'll have information on what to think about when it comes to applying, what to include, what to not include. They sometimes have tips. They have very good articles, blogs on helping you maximize your chances. Because if you at least go into their website, you're going to know information that other people who are applying for med school don't know, because they won't have gone onto their website. So make sure you utilize everything you can with regards to free resources so you can maximize your chances for success. Now, the UCAS website also has entry requirements with regards to UK medical schools. So again, it's a very good way for you to go onto their website and filter out the information and then be able to target which ones you think are best for you. Now, for applying to medical school, you're going to have to sit at least one exam, the UKCAT, if not 2, the BMAT as well. I had to sit both because of the range of medical schools that I applied to. Some of them accepted UKCAT, some of them accepted BMAT. If you're going to strop and cry about these exams you're going to take, I'll be honest, don't apply for medicine, all right? These are the least of your worries. You're going to have exams at least every single year in med school, if not more frequently. You can have exams leading up for specialty training, whether you go into surgery, anesthetics, whatever. If you can't handle exams, you're not going to be handle seeing someone die in front of you. So don't bother. You're going to have to apply and you're going to have to pass these exams, and you're going to have to do well, because again, well, it's not a matter of passing. You just get a score, but you're going to be ranked against everyone else who's gotten a score like that. So you have to make sure you do well enough. I'll talk about my experiences in another video. I didn't do well in the UCAT. I did acceptably well in the BMAT. I smashed the interviews, which is genuinely why I think I got into, I think it was the 8th ranked medical school in the entire world based on an average BMAT. So I'll talk you through more of the UCAT, although I don't feel like I'm qualified, but I can at least talk to you about my revision technique, and you can take whatever you want out of it. I'll definitely talk about my interview process, and then we'll go from there. But yes, UCAT, BMAT, look at them, revise them, at least learn a bit more about them, and start your preparations based on where you are in your journey. Now, finally, you'll have a personal statement that you have to write. It's essentially a statement. It's a limited number of characters. It is supposed to tell the medical schools who you are, what you do, and why you want to study medicine. They're going to get thousands of these. All right, they're going to get thousands of these, and they're going to be reading hundreds of these, to the point where they'll be reading so many people's, and they'll have a good idea of who's good, who's bad, who deserves an interview, who doesn't. That they'll be able to read the first 5 lines, and then they'll be able to make a snapshot judgment on whether they want to read the rest or not. I'm not saying they all do. Some might, some don't. I've never been in a panel. I've never been asked or been paid to vet personal statements, so I wouldn't know. But you have to make sure your personal statement is good. All right. Because remember, if they're reading hundreds of these a day and they see yours, and within the first 3 lines, it is nowhere near comparable to the 10 that they offered an interview to, and not even touching the 25 that they're considering giving an interview to, they'll just throw it to the side. So you have to make sure you do that well. And of course, finally, you have the interviews. As I said before, I'll be talking a bit about my interview process, my interview experience. I did an MMI at Kiel, which I failed horrendously, which I'll be able to tell you more about. And I also did a traditional based interview at UCL, which I'd like to think I did reasonably well because I got in with an average BMAT score. So I'll be able to talk you through a bit more about my interview process, tips, pros, cons, what to do, what not to do, what to think about when considering them both. So that was a very brief, very quick step-by-step guide to applying for medical school. I will hopefully be breaking each of these down in future videos. If there's a specific step that you really want more information on, please let me know. I will be able to help in the comments, or I will try and make a video myself. Otherwise, of course, if you've liked this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you.